Ever feel like today's powerful AI is kind of trapped in a box? Unable to see your latest data or connect to your company's tools? Well, today we're going to dive into a new standard that's all about shattering that box. It's called the Model Context Protocol, and it might just be the HTTP that finally unleashes AI's real power. To really get why this is such a big deal, we need to rewind the clock and look at the early days of the web.
So, to understand where AI is headed, you gotta remember where the web came from. The early internet, it was a chaotic mess. Just a bunch of separate proprietary systems, basically these isolated islands of information that couldn't talk to each other at all. And then HTTP came along. This one simple open standard became the universal language for the web, connecting everything. And that single change sparked the revolution we're all living in today. So, hang on to that idea.
Because right now, the world of artificial intelligence looks a whole lot like that fragmented early web. We have these incredibly powerful models, but the thing is, they have a fundamental communication problem that's keeping them stuck in the past.
Let's start with a frustration I'm sure you've felt. You ask an AI a simple question about something that just happened, and you get that classic response, right? I don't have access to real-time data. My knowledge cutoff was last year. It's the stale data problem. The AI is basically living in the past, trained on a snapshot of the internet that's already old news.
And this gets way more critical when you bring it into a business setting. You ask a question about your own internal company data, and the AI is completely blind. It can't see your databases, your sales reports, or your project plans. I mean, it's like having a brilliant intern who you haven't given the Wi-Fi password to.
So these are the core limitations really holding AI back. They're stuck with that stale public data, they're blind to all the private data inside a company, and they're totally isolated from your personal stuff. They just can't connect to our live private worlds, where the most valuable work actually gets done.
So naturally, a ton of brilliant engineers immediately saw this and started working on a fix. But as you're about to see, the first attempts to solve this problem, well, they actually ended up creating a new, and you could argue, a much bigger mess.
This first fix was a pretty clever technique called retrieval augmented generation, or just RAG for short. The idea is simple, really. Before you ask the AI a question, you first go and grab some relevant, up-to-date information from a data source, and you just stuff it into the prompt. And it works. But since every single connection has to be custom-built, it's really more of a band-aid than a real long-term solution.
And the result of this approach is a mathematical nightmare of custom connections. For every new AI platform you want to use or every data source you add, the number of integrations you need just explodes. Every single AI needs its own unique custom-built connector for every single data source. This is the N times M problem, and it is completely unscalable.
And this complexity gets out of hand way faster than you'd think. I mean, take a pretty modest setup, just 3 AI platforms and 7 common data sources. You'd need to build and maintain a whopping 21 separate integrations. That is just an astronomical amount of wasted engineering effort. It's totally unsustainable.
But what if there was a better way? What if, just like HTTP did for the web, we could create a universal standard for AI? Well, this is where a brand new approach comes in, the Model Context Protocol, or MCP.
So instead of that tangled mess of connections, MCP introduces this clean, radically simple hub-and-spoke model. All the AI models talk to a single, central MCP server, and that one server is responsible for talking to all your enterprise data sources. It acts like a universal translator sitting right in the middle. Okay, so how does it actually work? MCP is built on just a few core concepts. The first one is resources. You can just think of these as chunks of information the AI can read to get some context. For example, if you ask an AI to summarize a sales report, the content of that report becomes a resource that gets passed to the model. Simple as that. Next up, if resources are what the AI can read, then tools are what the AI can do. And this is huge. This gives the AI agency to actually take action. It could use a run_query tool to get live sales data from a database, or a send email tool to let the team know about a new customer ticket.
And finally, prompts tie it all together. These are basically reusable fill-in-the-blank templates for common tasks. So instead of telling the AI how to do a code review from scratch every single time, you can just use a standardized code_review prompt. It simplifies and standardizes everything.
Okay, so now that we've got the building blocks down, let's get to the payoff. We're going to go back to every problem we talked about earlier and see the dramatic before and after transformation that MCP makes possible. First, let's talk about that integration nightmare. Before MCP, you had the N by M problem.
After MCP, the logic is dead simple. You connect each data source to the MCP server once, and you connect each AI model to the MCP server once. That's it. The integration explosion is solved.
The next huge problem is AI model lock-in. Without MCP, if you write your application to work with, say, ChatGPT's specific API, and then you want to switch to Claude, you have to rewrite everything. With MCP, you write your code once against the MCP standard, and it just works with any AI model now or in the future.
And the difference in effort here is just staggering. A traditional AI model migration is a multi-week project. We're talking code rewrites, new tests, retraining your team, the whole shebang. With MCP, it's literally changing one line in a configuration file. Weeks of work just become minutes.
And that's the promise right there. Total freedom from vendor lock-in. You want to switch AI models? Just change the configuration. No code changes needed. It's a complete and total game changer for developers.
And the business benefits of this are just enormous. Your applications are instantly future-proofed. A new, better model comes out, you can use it immediately. You can switch to a cheaper model to optimize costs. You can A/B test different models to find the perfect one for a specific task. And you are never, ever locked into a single AI provider. It gives you complete freedom and control.
The genius of MCP's design really comes down to these four things. 1, it creates a standard language. 2, it abstracts away all the complexity of the data sources on one end. And 3, it does the same for the AI models on the other. And 4, it centralizes all the critical stuff like security, caching, and governance into one single place. It's just elegant.
So that brings us right back to where we started. We compared MCP to HTTP, the protocol that unlocked the entire web. When you look at how MCP solves these deep, fundamental problems of integration and vendor lock-in, and how it creates a universal language for AI to access our live, private worlds, you really have to ask yourself, is this the moment AI gets its own version of HTTP? Is this the standard that finally connects AI to our world